I'm recreating Heston's perfect Christmas, just not quite as perfectly. This is In Search of Imperfection. So our main course, not turkey, but goose, which is actually super traditional in the UK. Having said that, and it would have appeared on Christmas dinners in years gone by, particularly in Victorian era and thereabouts. However, I don't think I've ever eaten goose. I don't think. Maybe I did once. I don't remember, certainly. I definitely haven't cooked with it. So the first option was to try and find some goose, which was incredibly difficult. And I did eventually, after many attempts, find a butcher that would sell me goose breast frozen, but that's no problem because it allowed me to plan out when to cook this. So I just have a goose breast here, and which I've already peeled off the skin. It was quite easy. So this goose breast itself is going to get cooked sous vide at 54 degrees for about 90 minutes. Meanwhile, I've got the skin, which I'm going to grill off separately. And then we've got leg. Now, if you know your game, or if you know your meats, you'll probably notice this is too small for a goose leg. Again, goose legs, incredibly hard to find. I could buy a whole goose, but the cost for those are astronomical, and I wasn't about to do that for this experiment. So I've got duck leg, not the same. But here's the strange thing. Heston says he takes the goose leg and cooks it for, wait for it, 50 hours. Now, he's well known for cooking things long and low and slow. He doesn't even say how. Does he put it in an oven? Does he sous vide it? He just doesn't say. I'm certainly not going to give up 50 hours of cooking when I don't really know what he's doing or have any real hints at it. So he then, after cooking it for 50 hours, shreds the duck leg, much as you get when you go to a Chinese restaurant and order duck with pancakes. So I'm a bit puzzled as to why he went to so much effort only to shred the meat, so you're not really going to get the full effect of it. So I'm just going to give this a standard roast in the oven while this sous vides. So this is going to sous vide and this is going to roast, and I'm also going to at the same time roast off this goose skin as a decoration. I'll see you once they're cooked.
So one of the garnishes is I'll need a black pudding slick, so I'm just blending up black pudding and cream into a puree.
And chestnuts, butter and stock blended together for my velouté. And shredding up my duck leg in the approved method seen in Chinese restaurants up and down the land.
I hesitated about putting the next bit into the video. It's only 3 minutes in and it comes a little bit out of nowhere. I've been making these courses over several days, and this morning I think I'd fit in 3 recipes into one day, and you don't really see the full prep of what I'm doing for this dish. You can kind of see it at the end, but you don't really see what I'm doing, and this is really the culmination of what I was feeling right this second. Hope you get it.
I just recorded this bit to camera because I've been dicing turnip for a garnish for the goose dish, and I just feel like there's too much going on. I just don't want to cook more ridiculous little side dishes that I'm pretty sure I'm going to think are fine and not incredible in any way. That's almost certainly because I don't have the skill, the technique and experience of some of the best cooks and chefs in the world, but I'm just facing it and going, oh, I don't want to make a chestnut velouté or a black pudding slick, but I have committed to it, so I'm going to do it. That's just where my head's at right now. Okay, my goose breast is done, so it's time to start plating. Our black pudding, which should be smooth like a cream, but I just run out of juice, literally. Some mulled wine, which some of you may remember from earlier in the dinner, which I've reduced down. I'm just going to trickle over. Heston makes goose crackers, which he says are just like prawn crackers, so here's just prawn crackers. Some pieces of lightly cooked turnip, some of my rather coarse chestnut velouté on the side, and that's topped with some of that shredded duck leg. That is also supposed to be served on potato puree, but I am out of gas at this stage. There is one final element we need. I've ground some chestnuts into a powder, and I'm now going to infuse the whole dish with a chestnut smoke. So for our final moment of theatricality, the chestnut smoke erupts out of the dish, and we need to give it a try. Now, I'm not going to lie, I have run out of energy, and what a day to discover you're not that fussed about goose. Maybe I prefer it whole roasted on the carcass, the sort of normal way. And a little of this. Chestnut velouté isn't bad, but it's just chestnuts, butter and stock, so very little to dislike there. In fact, this with some shredded duck leg, it'd make a really good filling for like a pie, like a steak bake type pie, a flat one. Petivier, if you want to be a little bit more refined. Oh, and I forgot there was goose skin, which I just baked to a crisp. It's just crackling. It's good though. So, a whole bunch of work there for an unamazing result, and to me, doesn't particularly bring to mind a Christmas dinner. There are bits and bobs I liked. I could take or leave the goose. The preparations are what they are. Black pudding is a good idea, but takes me quite a way away from a Christmas dinner that I know. There's something in the velouté dish, but it's not quite there yet for me. Though I do like the theatricality of the smoke, but you know, I appreciate that's not for everyone. I tried to use as few gadgets as possible, but I did have one I thought I could use. I don't have the refinement, I don't have the skill, I don't have the manpower to do all these dishes justice, and that one was a real demonstration of it. If you've watched other videos where I've cooked Marco Pierre White's restaurant dishes, they're just, that last 5 minutes is horrendous, where everything has to come together hot at the same time. That was a little bit like that. So not in a rush to recreate that one. I fully accept, by the way, you know, I'm just an unskilled, stupid home cook without a lick of training behind me. I've done a lot of cooking, but it's all trial and error. And that shows you the level that these guys can run at. I would be really interested to try the real thing done by the real deal to see just how far off I was. 7 courses down, 1 remains. How will it end? Hit subscribe to make sure you find out in the final episode of this series.